Welcome to this Saturday night with me, Papa Kwesi Indom. This is the program we call Ghana Great and Strong. Our program is a national interest program, one that has the sole purpose to strengthen our country and make all of its people prosperous. And so we try to bring you some facts. We try to get you to know, think, and discuss important matters that ought to be of interest to all of us, all citizens of this republic that we call Ghana. And this is the program that is sponsored by the Ghana Growth Fund Company Limited, GGFC. GGFC, the company that is helping build financing infrastructure throughout the country, helping to develop factories, businesses that are employing thousands of Ghanaians throughout the country. Ghana Growth Fund Company Limited, GGFC, is our main sponsor. This evening, we're going to continue what we started last week. Last week, I had so many of you not happy because of some technical difficulties that we experienced. So we're going to go over some of the same grounds. We're going to discuss quite a bit about the same topic, education. Because education, as I said last week, someone has written that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Ignorance makes people poor. A lack of education makes people not be capable to work, to live, to thrive in today's age, especially in the age where technology is key. Now, I want to present to you something from our Constitution. And our Constitution, as far as education is concerned, as I always say here, we don't want to just engage in some arguments. We don't want to just bring something off the top of our heads and start talking about it. We are going straight into the 1992 Constitution, and I want to read to you some of what it says about education. Here are some of the things that it says, the 1992 Constitution says about education. It says, the state shall provide educational facilities at all levels and in all the regions of Ghana, and shall, to the greatest extent feasible, make all those facilities available to all citizens. Let me read that again. It says, the state shall provide educational facilities at all levels. It didn't say from kindergarten to primary. It didn't say from primary to junior secondary. Or it didn't say to senior high school or to university. It says, the state shall provide educational facilities at all levels and in all the regions of Ghana, and shall, to the greatest extent feasible, make those facilities to all citizens. And then, number 2, it says the government shall, within 2 years after Parliament first meets, after the coming into force of this Constitution, draw up a program for implementation within the following 10 years for the provision of free, compulsory, and universal basic education. Let's take a bit of time and break this one down. Because if we don't take care, some people will take everybody for fools. Some people will think that we can't read, or maybe we read and we don't understand. Or some people may think that the Constitution is something that they can ignore. We are the people, so we, the people, must understand what the Constitution that gives a mandate for some people to become president, some people to become MPs, some people to become ministers of state, and so on and so forth. This is what that Constitution says. It says, the government shall, within 2 years after Parliament first meets, after the coming into force of this Constitution, draw up a program for implementation within the following 10 years for the provision of free, compulsory, and universal basic education. Now, again, let's break it down. It says, within 2 years after Parliament first meets after the coming into force of this Constitution. So, the 2 years, that will take us, Parliament first met January 1993 in this Fourth Republic. So 2 years after that will take us to January 1995. Okay? So it says within the 2 years, draw up a program for implementation. So by January 1995, the government should have drawn up a program for free, compulsory, and universal basic education. Then it goes further, and it says, draw up a program for the implementation within the following 10 years. So the program that is drawn up in the 2 years, the Constitution allowed 10 years for its implementation. So 2 years takes us to 1995. 10 years after that, that is the implementation period. You add 10 years to 1995, then what do we get? It means that by 2005, if I'm counting right, we ought to have had implemented free, compulsory, and universal basic education. Now, there is nowhere in this that they talk about progressively anything. Nowhere. So it gives 12 years after the coming into force of the Constitution for this free, compulsory, and universal basic education to be implemented. So I ask, has that been done? Has that been done? And we must ask all of ourselves. J.J. Rawlings, he was in power for 8 years as president under this Constitution. After him came J.A. Kufuor, 8 years after the coming into force of this Constitution. After Kufuor came President Atta Mills. He was there for some time. He didn't finish serving his term of 4 years, replaced by John Dramani Mahama. So for all those years, with all those presidents, what has happened to this free, compulsory, and universal basic education? So those are the first 2 points. And you go to point number 3. Number 3. It says the state shall, subject to the availability of resources, provide, and there are 3 things: equal and balanced access to secondary and other appropriate pre-university education, equal access to university or equivalent education with emphasis on science and technology. That's A. B, a free adult literacy program and a free vocational training, rehabilitation, and resettlement of disabled persons. And 3, lifelong education. Now, what I have just read to you, have you heard it before? Is anybody talking about it? How about the Minister of Education? How about Cabinet? How about the President? How about the members of Parliament? How about the political parties? I'll read it again because it's important for you to know what our Constitution demands of us. It says, the state shall, subject to the availability of resources, provide A, equal and balanced access to secondary and other appropriate pre-university education, equal access to university or equivalent education with emphasis on science and technology. B, a free adult literacy program and a free vocational training, rehabilitation and resettlement of disabled persons, and lifelong education. So, do we have, we should ask, a free adult literacy program or not? Do we have lifelong education provided by the state or not? If we're not going to do all those things, what are they doing in our Constitution? If we also elect presidents who swear to uphold the Constitution, uphold and defend the Constitution, why do we have these things there? Why do we have them there? That is something I want you to think about. We'll continue. I'll go back to some of the things that we talked about last week so that we can all understand that education, it has no equal. It is the one that can make a poor man's child, a rich man's child, a child from the north, a child from the south, a child from the east or west, everybody, whether you are Christian or Muslim or whatever, that is the one thing that can equalize all of our opportunities. It is the one thing that makes countries become well off. Because without education, a country, it can't manufacture. It can't build factories, it can't operate factories, it can't count, it can't multiply, it can't do many things that are required in this modern times. If you want to participate with us, our text line, and emphasis on the word text, not phone. The text WhatsApp line 020-7566-185. The number again is 020-7566-185. If you want to make a contribution, I want to know from you. Did you know those things that I read? Did you know about the 2 years to draw up a program? Did you know about the 10 years to implement a program? Did you know that within that period we were supposed to have free, compulsory, universal basic education? Did you also know that the state was also to begin to make available resources to gain access to secondary and even appropriate pre-university education, equal access to university or equivalent education with emphasis on science and technology? Did you know that? Did you also know that our Constitution, it grants and it says we should have a free adult literacy program? And then it says, this one I don't know, it says lifelong education to be provided by the state. Did you know that? And if you know, or if you are hearing this for the first time, why aren't we doing anything about it? What do you think about why this is not happening? So I'm going to come back to what is it that we discussed last week. There were several messages that we had last week that we're getting this week. There's someone who he has sent a number of this message. He says, teachers teach for 2 years and only paid 3 months. How best can this work if the same teachers are not being paid well? Someone says he's from Akosombo. He has a group of people who want to discuss my vision and work with me as a team. Someone says, we reopened school on 8th September. No registers have been supplied up until now. And let me skip that one. There is someone who is attempting to call us, but we have said, please don't call. Just send us a text message to 020-7566-185. And there's someone who says, it's a shame some of our political leaders have turned the image of our dearest mother Ghana, that we are supposed to be a country who boasts of freedom and justice. The freedom is there, but the justice has turned into injustice and corruption. And it's Abdul Basit from Tamale. Abdul, he is, I will skip Abdul's program. Let me just say hello to Abdul Basit. I know the message you've put here. I want to recognize it, but I don't want to put it on air. Let me go to last week. And I want to bring back the discussion that we had last week. Last week, I went through what the present administration has said last year. And then I brought back what it's been saying this year, especially in the recent times, the last 2 or 3 weeks. Last year, I said the present administration, led by President John Dramani Mahama, promised that all-day senior high school students will, from next academic year, benefit from government's free senior high school education policy. And this was said by the Deputy Education Minister, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. And he said this on the floor of Parliament last year, that a total of 365,000 people were expected to benefit from this free SHS policy. And he told some media people that day students are the most vulnerable, and that's why government is targeting them in the first year of the implementation of the government's free education policy. Now, I am glad that the Deputy Minister said they are talking about this free education policy because the Constitution requires it. Now, I just read to you what the Constitution requires. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say free education to day students. Nowhere. What the Constitution talked about is to students, period, students. But the Constitution also says free and compulsory universal basic education. You see, I keep coming back to it. I keep coming back to that part because without the compulsory education at the basic school level, if you don't benefit from it, if our children don't go to basic school, if parents are not forced to take their children to school, they're not going to get to senior high school. And they will not be properly educated. And we will continue to have problems. So I want to use this platform this evening to advise the different segments of our society, the religious organizations, the Methodists, the Presbyterians, the Catholics, the Muslims, all of them. You have the Christian Council, you have the Catholic Bishops' Conference, and so on and so forth. I want them all to pay attention to this free, compulsory basic education that is supposed to be there for all children, boys, girls. It doesn't matter which part of the country they come from. Because if we don't do that, they will miss out on something. It's of no use to talk about free SHS of any type. No use to Ghana if that basic education part is not there. So I want the religious people to listen. When they are writing all their letters or doing their press conferences or they are talking in church or whatever, they should pay attention to this one. Forget the free SHS, come to the basic one. And let's make sure that every child goes to school and it is compulsory and it is free. And usually we say we don't want to do partisan politics on this program. But I have to use some examples. And so I have to say that MPP, led by Nana Akufo-Addo, 2012, they made free SHS a slogan, free SHS. Then the NDC, led by John Dramani Mahama, talks about progressively coming up with free SHS. They said they wanted to expand access. Still talking about senior secondary schools or senior high schools. And all of that, for what purpose? For political gain. Political gain, not really to benefit our children. If they were doing it to benefit of our children, they would not begin from senior high school. It wouldn't be an SHS-focused program. They will do as the Progressive People's Party talks about, to go back and be true to the 1992 Constitution and start with basic school. And we define basic school to be from kindergarten through to junior high school. And that is where we must have the courage to say every child must go. It must be compulsory. Government must be forced to provide the facilities. We must find the money. And some people say the money is not there. I say the money is there, except that through bribery, through corrupt activities, through wastage, through sharing the monies with people who don't deserve to share our tax monies, that we waste the monies that should be applied to education. So, if we want to be true to Ghana and not play politics with education, let's go back, all of us, back to the Constitution. And let's do what the Constitution says we must do. So, Mr. Kujatu Ablakwa, he made the promise in Parliament that they students, they were going to enjoy free senior high school education. He's the same one who also said that by September of this year, by September means by September 1st, before September 1st shows up, 200 new schools would be built. Let me correct that. He didn't say 200 by September 2015. He said 50 by September 1, 2015, 200 within 4 years. 200 within 4 years. That was the promise. That was the promise. And then last year also, this one I said I said last year that I didn't believe it, she said this, that I didn't believe that it was true. But it was reported, and it was not refuted, that the Minister of Education, my friend Professor Jane Nano Opoku Ajiman, said that secondary education in Ghana has been free as enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. The students, she was reported to have said that the students only pay for extra costs, and that in terms of tuition, fees don't exist. And she was quoted to have said this October 25th, Saturday, October 25th, 2014 on TV3's Hot Issues. I don't think she could have said that, but that is what she's reported to have said. And then she says something she has repeated recently, that sometimes the parents have a role to play, which I agree with. The parents always have a role to play. But we need to talk about what kind of a role are we talking about. I'm sorry I have to keep saying that please don't call me, send me text messages, because I can't read any text message because the phone keeps ringing. And it keeps ringing. The number we have given, 020-7566-185. Please send me text messages. Send me text messages. If you send me the text message, then I'll try and read it. If I'm getting phone calls, I can't read the text messages. I'd like for you to share your views. And when you share your views with me, I will also try and read them. But I can't do that when some people persist in wanting to call. So, what has happened today? What has happened today is that a couple of weeks ago, we were all told that all was set for the much anticipated, progressively free education. That is what we were told. And if that is indeed the case, I also want to examine what that means. There's anyway. Some messages are difficult to read, but this one message also says he's got a telephone number. He says he's struggling to pay his school fees for the year. He's at a university, and he may drop out if he doesn't get the money, and he needs help. Yes, we're talking about education, but we're not talking about scholarships here this evening. Ibrahim from Yendi, he's just saying that, in his view, that I am good. There is someone else who's also just looking to see that we are all doing well here. Well, thank you for asking. And Kofi Samuel says, well, he's just thanking us for telling us what is good for all of us Ghanaians. Again, someone thanking the program for educating us and what is it that we're offering to the country. And Dominican says that you are touching a lot of hearts. This is the truth that will set Ghana free. And someone, it doesn't mention his name, he says, I would be happy if you can air this discussion on other networks for majority of Ghanaians to enjoy and have in-depth knowledge on the lies these people carry around. The Wafayo Anthony from Asinfosu Odumasi says, Dear Papa Ndo, I am proud of you. You are just honest about things, and I'm happy that you have Ghana at heart. God bless you. And I also say God bless you as well. Somebody, he is saying that I'm exploiting some people and paying a graduate 500 Ghana cedis. Well, I don't know who sent this, but if I'm paying someone 500 Ghana cedis, it obviously depends on the job the person is doing. But then that person is being paid. If you were to read a lot of my messages, that says that people, teachers and all sorts of other people are working and not getting paid. Perhaps you would appreciate the fact that some of us, we employ people and we pay them. Atta Brown from Pando in the Volta region says, Papa Kwesi, how free is this NDC free education? Does it mean day students would not be tasked to pay anything? Please, can you explain how free it is for me? This is from Atta Brown. And I'm glad about Atta Brown's question. Because you see, when somebody stands somewhere and says something is free, that day school is free. If day school is free, then day school should be free. It means you put on your uniform, you go to school, and that's it. No one charges you anything. And I'm always explaining to people what pertains in some other countries. And one country that I know something about is the US, because I have been there, and I've actually also been inside a high school in the US as a student before. And when I was there, the people who looked after me, they didn't have to pay anything for me in a public school. In a public school. We took a bus to school, we didn't have to pay anything. We went to school, we didn't have to buy books, we didn't have to do anything. There were no fees. And at lunchtime, we were fed lunch for free. There were school nurses, there were school counselors, and all sorts of other people. So free meant free. You don't pay anything. So in a lot of the discussion that has happened so far, we have realized that this free day school policy is not quite free, because there are some things that are covered, other things that are not covered. So, my friend Atta Brown, your question is appropriate. How free is this free education being talked about by the Deputy Minister of Education, the Minister of Education, the President of our Republic? It is that you go to day school, you will still pay some money. Obviously, if you go to boarding school, you will be paying as you've been paying. And so, let me go back to some messages. Aziz is asking, what of the teacher trainee allowance? We are suffering with our fees payment without the allowance. Abdul Basit Ibrahim from Tamale says, Dr. Indom, I'm always happy whenever I see and hear from you. And he says his prayer is that I should be the next chief executive of the country. I promise to support you. Let me make a relevation. A relevation. Is that a word? Relevation. So let me reveal something. Revelation. Aha, Profu. Revelation. You know, I wish, like today sitting here, that I was the municipal chief executive for the Commander Edna Egwafu Abrim District Municipal Assembly. Let me make that revelation clear again. I wish that I would be the chief executive for the Commander Edna Egwafu Abrim Municipal Assembly. I would like to show someone how that job is supposed to be done. And if it was me sitting there in that seat, I will comb around the world to look for people who will come and build factories in my municipality. Commander, Egwafu, Abrim, Elmina. I'll look for people from all over Ghana. We will try and get some land available to them. We'll try and make sure that we make them, we become hospitable to people who will bring jobs to this municipality that is KEEA. I would make sure that our environment is clean. And, you know, when you invite people in, when they bring jobs, it makes the area prosperous. It helps other people to come in. So schools benefit, sports benefits, everything would benefit. And my only difficulty is that I don't want to be appointed by anyone to become chief executive of anything. I want to be voted for. So the municipal chief executive who is there, if today someone said, today, come and file your nomination and to contest to become the municipal chief executive, I'll be one of the first people to run and write my name. That was just by the way. We're talking about education. And I want to go back to some of the messages because there are a number of them that have come in. Haruna from Kumasi, he's just saying, God bless you for this educative program you're offering to us. And a tutor from Atebubu district, he says, NDC and Mahama government is deceiving Ghanaians. How can SHS be free? Meanwhile, we, the teachers at Atebubu, we don't have common chalk and textbooks to facilitate and enhance teaching and learning. Someone, well, Menu from Kumasi is just saying quite simply that he likes the program. So let me go back, and I want to go back and maybe me perabeka fancy kakra. Osende school asama yakan. Oya bibia ohia manya hina. Osende sa anko school is a wiyaji ntama wiye. And then so it's a kaya carpenter juma won fa enyu apia na wode hwaji na wode ye. Ntama pi na ende ode kan bibi. Ade ode computer bi ade ye juma. Ode efiri bi ade ye juma. Ode isu akankan isu achro isu mo sina wo bunkon ten na kaka wona aze. In school aze ohia. No here so there awofu bia so oye nhye mo honde wodi abofra bia so ko school. Na so obe ye nhye ama awofu de won for one bank school a no odo oye abanu so na sezi do ohwe de school adan wo ho papa school adan papa ye was wekesi 2 classroom block 4 classroom block ejenani bia mpo nyi ho baby obeza agore nyi ho debi say proper school school papa na wodesisi ama hene mmoframa wetum wonya bi na wakɔ na afi so ya hwe teacher fo so wɔn do ye ya hwe wɔn do ye ma wɔn so wonya home wonya somdwe wɔda akyerɛ mmoframa no ade ye ama wɔka yɛn so hwe a wɔnya wodi nkunyim na wakɔ hɔnyim na yɛka school so nso a masɛm maka no pii hia ɔno yi dɛ mbra no a yɛde yɛ adwuma wɔ Ghana man no mu ɔyɛ 1992 constitution no mbra no ma ɔreka anye dɛ abɔfraba biara ade wɔfrɛ no basic education yɛka basic education so yɛsɛ dɛ wofi KG kindergarten na ɛde kɔ junior high school na ewie no kyɛw dɛ ɔyɛ wɔnka gye abɔfraba biara hwee na mmom ɔbɛyɛ nhyɛ dɛ abɔfraba biara dɛ ɔkɔ na afi so wɔde ma abɔfraba biara wɔ Ghana man mu ya iyi yɛntumi yɛnyɛ mbra no so ɔma mfie bien ɔkyerɛ ofi 1993 ɛde kɔ 1995 mfie bien nkyɛ wɔmfa yɛ nhyehyɛe a ɔba madam adesuadeɛ a anaaso school yi a wɔngye hwee ɔyɛ free ɔsɛ mfie bien wɔfa ntintim nhyehyɛe no owie so a mbra no so ɔma mfie du dɛ wɔmfa dɛm nhyehyɛe no wɔmfa yɛ adwuma aborɔfo sɛ implementation time mfie du 10 years ne nyinaa wɔabɛse no kɔ a afi ɛna aban ɔreka kyerɛ hɛn dɛ dɛm basic education no ɔno ntumi yɛ free ɔmpɛ dɛ ɔka dɛ ɔyɛ compulsory na ɔyɛ nhyɛ so ɔnka dɛ abɔfra biara so rekɔ nanso wɔapaw no ho na ɔsɛ senior high school dze ɔyɛ free na mmom ɔno sɛ ɔbɛyɛ free so a ɔsɛ dɛ wɔn a wɔka da school ɔyɛ boarding fo no wɔn dze wɔn ka ho na mmom wɔn a wɔkɔ day school no wɔn dze wɔka ho na wɔn nso a wɔkɔ day school no so ɔyɛ biribiara so na wɔdze rekyɛ hɔn na mmom sika nkakra bi so wɔ hɔ a ɔwɔ dɛ wɔtua afi so wɔreka dɛ ahwɛ yie afi ɛkɔ school no so a day school no so wɔbɛka dɛ wawofo wɔ sika nti awotua awodzi no wɔnyɛ sika nti awomantua na Ghana mmɛn yɛwɔ mi yɛsi na yɛhu hɔn na ɔwɔ sika ɛna hɔn na ɔnyɛ sika hɔn na awofo ɛkaw wɔ fie hɔn na awofo ɛkaw wɔnyɛ fie yɛbɛsi dan na yɛhu wɔ abere yɛwɔ man yi mu so a wɔsi biribi so wɔ ɔfɛ national identification card na mbra so ɔwɔ dɛ yɛdze yɛ adwuma no yɛn nso yɛmfa nyɛ adwuma nti yɛntum yɛhu hɔn a wɔwɔ Ghana man yi mu no man no mba no hɔn gyina bio yɛntum yɛhu ɛnyɛ asɛm a mepɛ dɛ mede to gua ma obiara ɔte bi obiara ɔte ne ho ase dɛ sɛ obi bɛgyina w'anyim sɛ ɔyɛ ɔman panyin o sɛ ɔyɛ mbrɛhyɛ bɛgɔm o sɛ ɔyɛ aban no minister bi o na sɛ ɔrebɛka dɛ free SHS sɛ ɔbɛka dɛ free education free abadi progressively free mesrɛ wo ara ka kyerɛ dɛ mura awɔkɔ Ghana hɛne mbra no do 1992 constitution na kanka ne kyerɛ wi akyerɛkyerɛ me kyerɛ dɛ dam na ɔreka dɛ wɔnyɛ no a na sɛ dam na ɔreka dɛ wɔnyɛ no a ɔno dze gye tom na sɛ yɛ dam na hɛne mbra no ɔaka kyerɛ hɛn dɛ yɛnyɛ ne dze a ɔno ka kyerɛ dɛ mura mesrɛ wo ara mɛreka kyerɛ mi ɛna kɔre nyim kɔ na ka kankan ne yie kɔ na ka yɛ w'adwene yie kɔ na ka hyehyɛ wo biribiara yie na mmom sɛ ɛtum na ɛyɛ ne hiara yie a sane bra na bɛka ne yie fa kyerɛ m na wie a deɛ bɛka kyerɛ m biara no so fa yɛ adwuma bɔn yɛ adwuma sɛnea afi ndzɛmandzɛma ahorow a mpanyinfoɔ bɛka kyerɛ hɛn na wɔfa wɔn ho di kwa wɔfa wɔn ho firi wɔkɔ no ɔde yɛhwɛ ma ɔno dze ɔkɔ akyiri koraa ɔyɛ dɛm adze no ɔyew ne ho asɛm ɛna ɛndɛ yɛka no muwie sɛnɛ nsɛm bi so ɛwɔ hɔ Abdulaziz Ofitamale he is just saying, I like the program and the work that you are doing. But he also adds that I wish that one day you will lead this country. I was just talking about being municipal chief executive for KEA. But Abdulaziz says, I'm hoping that one day you will lead the country. Yiran Maxwell from Tongo. Tongo, you know, I've been to Tongo not too long ago. He says, thank you for everything you said. And will 200 schools be built before 2016? Well, Maxwell, I don't think so. Right now, we are hoping that the 50 that was promised for 2016 to 2015, that they will be built. But we shall see what happens by 2016. Nizam from Wa says, it is true you have Ghana at heart. The sector has been politicized and managed with behavior, making parents to pay 354 Ghana cedis for junior high school. And he says, it's a pity we vote. Well, I'm glad somebody is saying it's a pity we vote, because, you know, let me not bring that one in here. Well, I gave some answers to Atap Brown from Pando, and then he's coming back and saying, if that is indeed the case, then it is not free. Why can't the NDC government plainly tell Ghanaians the truth, that this is not free but subsidized education? I like where you are going. If we said that what is being done for this day school thing is subsidized education, I guess that would be truthful. Now he is saying, if they think they cannot do it, they should not deceive Ghanaians, for there is a difference between free education and subsidized education. Now, why do I keep talking about this? I said, I keep talking about this because nothing beats education. Absolutely nothing. We can't talk about this enough. Aja Hamilton from Cape Coast says, Uncle Pakwesi, continue to educate us on issues that are of public interest. Well, Ajiman, you are saying someone is a failure. Let me leave it there. I know what you are saying. You know what you've just said. But let me leave it there. And someone says, I need your help. I'm a JHS graduate, and he wants to be a farmer, but he doesn't have any help from any place. So he needs help. Kingsford is a tutor from Atebugu. Kingsford, I will talk to you offline, okay? I've got your number here. And Samuel Saba also will reach out. Will reach out to you also offline. William from Bogosu says he likes the way we are taking time to educate people, and I want people to really do understand why we do what we do on this program. We talk education. We talk power. We have talked about all kinds of energy matters. We've talked about the election of municipal, metropolitan, and district chief executives. We've done that several times. We have talked about corruption, and unfortunately, we have the matter of the judges. The judges and employees of the judiciary, in the judiciary area, and what they have done and what they've been exposed even on video, which it's heart-rendering, and it just doesn't make you feel good. And what it is doing for some of us who every now and then travel is that it makes you ashamed to go somewhere and to have this be thrown at you that, so in your country, judges take bribes. In your country, judges take goats to render judgments wrongfully. In your country, is this what happens? What if I come to your country to engage in business and I have a dispute with someone, would I be treated fairly according to the law? That's a problem. It's a problem indeed. So that is an issue, and issues like this we really want to talk about. Abuaji from Kumasi says, how free is this so-called SHS when they cannot even provide registers, chalk, and notebooks for teachers? Thanks for this discussion. Well, I think we're going to need to leave our program here this evening. Because of the technical difficulties last week, we've tried to revisit the education matter. But before we go, I want to go back into the Constitution one more time. Chapter 6 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. In Chapter 6, that's where you find the directive principles of state policy. And in there, Item 2 in there, it says, the President shall report to Parliament at least once a year steps taken to ensure the realization of the policy objectives in this chapter, and in particular, the realization of human rights, a healthy economy, the right to work, the right to good health, the right to education. It says at least once a year, the President should go to Parliament and tell the people what he or she has done to advance the cause of healthy education, the right, healthy economy, the right to work, the right to good health, right to education. I just want to leave you with a simple question. J.J. Rawlings has been president of the Fourth Republic. J.A. Kufuor has been president of the Fourth Republic. The late Atta Mills has been president in this Fourth Republic, and now John Dramani Mahama is president. Has any one of them gone to Parliament and said, fellow Ghanaians, the directive principles of state policy require me to come before Parliament and give a report of what I have done to advance the cause of the objectives that are in the directive principles of state policy? Has anyone done so? The next time you meet a president, ask him or ask her that this is what our Constitution says. Thank you for listening, for watching to our program this evening. It's been about education. Some other time, we'll bring education back. We'll continue to talk about education until we have a government in place that believes in placing education as the #1 priority, and until we also have an administration in place that implements exactly what the Constitution wants government to do. Maybe even if there's a government in place that's doing so, we will still want to make sure that they are carrying out the implementation the right way. I thank my producers, technical people, including all the camera people, and I thank you especially for being part of the program and all the people who have sent us text messages. Have a good evening. My name is Papa Kwesi Indo.